Welcome, people, to the World Wide Web. So this is Chris from Cypher Sigma Screen Time. It's quite dark at the minute. I'm just back from the cinema, 11:30 at night. And I've seen, as you would know from the thumbnail, is Lee Croning's The Mummy movie. So this is the latest iteration of a kind of horror movie around zombies. It comes from the mind of Lee Cronin. He's done Evil Dead Rises, and you kind of get a feel of that. It is 2 hours and 14 minutes long. I don't believe there's anything kind of after the trailers. Me and my friend went, so I have the kind of my feelings and his feelings kind of joined into that. We have a fairly average size cast. So you have Jack Rayner as Charlie, the dad, Leia Acosta as Larissa, the mum. Since you have their three kids, so Natalie Grace plays the older version of Katie, then you have Sebastian and the younger one, Maud. You have the grandmother, Carmen, and then you have Maya Calloway in, if I pronounce that, is Detective Dahlia. And then you have the magician as well. So essentially this is a family staying in Cairo. Well, basically there is, you come across this curse. This curse is kind of being related to a family. This family need to, each time the mummy kind of is awoken, they need to transfer it into a host, a young host, and essentially this kind of American family, their young daughter, Katie, is kidnapped. To be the latest special, she's kidnapped. 8 years later, the sarcophagus is found that she's held in. They believe she's got some sort of condition. She comes back to the house and then basically starts to kind of contaminate the house and the people around it, and then the family trying to fight about it. The same sort of kind of poltergeist, supernatural thing that you used to. So we'll whack the spoiler warning up, and then we will get into this movie. So yes, so as I said, so the movie kind of starts with a family driving along, and the mum kind of, the dad being all happy with his three kids in the back, and then basically going back to the house, finding this canary dead, and then the mum and dad like, we've got to go downstairs, you go down. They go down, open a sarcophagus, and then kind of this mummy's coming alive. The dad gets killed, and then the mum's kind of left in a kind of predicament where she has to find the next vessel. Her daughter has basically befriended the Cannon family's younger daughter. They've kind of been communicating at the bottom of the garden, and you don't really have a time sense of it, but essentially they have been kind of slowly building the confidence to then basically take Katie, for her to be the vessel. You don't kind of find this out until later in the movie, but you kind of need context. But yeah, essentially as the movie starts, you see the mum, you see the mum kidnap the daughter. The dad kind of realizes something's going on, chases the mum. There's a big sandstorm. He loses her. 8 years go by. The family have kind of moved back to Mexico, where the grandmother lives, the wife's mother in this instance. And in the beginning bit, the mum was pregnant, so she's had the younger girl called Maud. The Maud is now 7, which is around about the age of Katie when she was taken. Essentially they're going about their ways. And then back in Cairo, there is a young lad going on. A plane goes down, and in the middle of the whole debris, there is the coffin that you've seen from the beginning, or the sarcophagus. Some people start researching it as they take it, and then take off all the kind of the leathery kind of skin tapestries. The kind of creature comes alive when it gets scanned in. You realise that obviously, or when you checked out, you realise it's Katie, and obviously she's kind of been mummified, and because she's not being exposed to not being exposed to light and a lot of other stuff, she's kind of this locked-in syndrome, as the doctors called it. The mum and dad are found and brought to there. I kind of missed a bit. When she goes missing, they meet a detective and a younger constable, and then that constable grows up to be the detective later on. But yeah, essentially when the daughter's found, they go to visit the doctor. The doctor says, she's got these conditions, blah, 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 blah. They go, they meet her, they see how kind of a little bit twisted she is. And he's like, because of locked-in syndrome is found that if you return the child to the house, obviously the house they're in now was the house they used to live in before they moved to Cairo. And they said that, help her knock. So they take the daughter back, and they believe that she's just got this condition, that they will help her. Obviously it's a bit weird when all the kids meet her. The nanny or the grandma is praying, and then gets headbutted by the daughter and breaks her nose, which is kind of the first kind of thing you see is there's something not quite right going on here. One thing, there's another, magically it's a house that has all these little doorways in each of the rooms, so she can get through, and you see her go running around there, and kind of she seems catatonic in one stage, and then she's kind of moving around like a kind of feral child. They try and clean her up and trying to do the best they can, and obviously this is then causing the family to become the mum and dad become kind of hostile towards each other, separate because of all this stuff is going on. The dad kind of thinks the stuff goes on that she should be put in somewhere temporarily because obviously he can't cope. The mum doesn't believe her. There's a big argument of, the dad feels the mum has blamed him. And essentially, it kind of divides. The mum then stays, it kind of looks after the daughter for most of the next section of the film, the middle section, I would say, of the film. The dad goes and exploring and finds that some of the skin that comes off his daughter is actually some sort of tapestry. He goes to look it up and he finds that it always kind of linked to this weird deity kind of evil demon thing. And in between this, you then have the detective who is trying to help out as well. Now down to think that I thought was very clever. The kid is kind of chopping their teeth, and it actually is Morse code, and it spells out the name Layla. And he sends that back to it because he's trying to discover what happened to his daughter, to try and figure out how they can help her. Due to the set of events, they find the Layla that they're talking about is the young girl from the beginning one, and she goes back to her house because that's the address she's registered at. No one's in when she works away, and she finds this kind of sarcophagus area down below. As she comes back up, the mum returns, the mum attacks her and she gets shot. And then you've got the young daughter tries to run away. As she's kind of run away, the cop apprehends her and basically takes her in. We then find out for a little bit of interrogation, the daughter kind of details what is happening. She also has given her a box when she's being chased, and it has a video with Katie's name on it, and it kind of details this. Once she's watched this videotape, it kind of details everything is happening, but you don't get to see this on the reverse side of it. When you see the Crones family, the daughter is going even feral, kills the grandma by throwing her out the window. Then they're having a funeral, and also the younger daughter is then possessed, and the kid, basically the older daughter who's returned from the one that's been kidnapped and sarcophagus or mummified, she's then starting possessing the house. You can see around her door that there is kind of weird patterns are appearing that no one seems to notice. When she threw up earlier on, she's rotted the floor. Anyway, and this kind of culminates in the grandma's funeral, which goes haphazard. There are a few funny moments in between this. I don't know if they're planned for this, but very funny, weird. Obviously, the brother is then kind of converted. He takes over, lets the eldest daughter go free because she's kind of been chained up by the dad. She goes attacking people and stuff like this, kind of scares everybody off of the whole ceremony, and then it's kind of she's finally chained up in her bed with her dad looking after her. And this is when the police officer makes her way back to them, because obviously she shows them the tape. As she's showing the tape, the other kids kind of free the daughter, and then everyone runs upstairs. There's a big kind of commotion and a kind of big kind of fight. The grandmother is brought back to life, and between this, you kind of, if you even arises, you get where this is kind of going. It's kind of everyone's fighting each other. Luckily, because they watch the tape, the police detective manages to recant the words. She basically draws the spirit out of the young girl into the dad, and then the dad is locked away in the kind of coffin that is kind of prepared for the grandmother, and then they've put scriptures and all that over the basement to basically hold the spirit there for the time being. And then it's kind of how their lives go on, and as the film so finally tailors out, the mum speaks to the detective and said, I've been thinking about stuff, I don't sleep, we need to kind of sort this out. She agrees, and then you go to kind of a prison. This is where you find the mother, who kind of was the instigator of this, the family that was cursed. And it's really clever how they link everything up. She's in a prison cell as her orderly comes in, or she thinks it's orderly. It's actually the mum in disguise. She drugs him. They wheel in the dad, and basically they're gonna depossess the dad and then put it back into the woman whose kind of family was the one responsible. It's kind of returning everything to its right place, so to speak, in the universe. So that is the movie in a nutshell. What did I think of it? I rate it a 6.2. It's very well shot, very well acted, and very well scripted together. I really love the fact that by the end of this film, everything is laid out and everything is filled in. There is stuff like you find out the flight, because the flight, you'll be like, why is the sarcophagus? You actually find out that is from the magician or the lady's family who are cursed in the first place. The younger lads actually try to move the coffin and they're the ones that die. It explains it near the end, and there's little bits like that. It ties up the whole story from the beginning to the end. Now, with a lot of these films, there are a few bits that do kind of leave a little open to interpretation and stuff, or could be a little bit late. At the end of it, I'm like, it's great, everything's turned back to normal, I really enjoy it, but you kind of like, why would you put a lady that's in prison, give her the spirit back into it, because she's not going to be sarcophagus or mummified in their prison, so she's going to roam free and cause chaos in Cairo. Maybe they've left it blank so the spirit is still around, so there will be a second movie. Who knows? I think it's one and done, in all fairness, in my eyes. Few other little bits of like when she's got locked in syndrome, and when you straight away when you can see she's a danger to herself, I'm like, locked in syndrome's, if the doctor is true and going back to their own life and stuff like that will help them. But you can obviously see this girl is very traumatic, even though they're saying her healthy and that, you can see her skin and everything else and how she's reacting and hurting people and stuff like this, and all, or inklings that she could hurt people because of ticks and stuff. I was like, why would you then return it to a home, even though her mum is a trained nurse? I was like, I just feel that was far too quick to be moved back to that. I thought it was good with the mum and the dad and how they're fighting and how they come to like the realization of all these hurts and stuff like that. I say the kind of conveniently, there's a house where there's stuff you can get into other rooms and that conveniently and stuff. There's a few bits I do feel convenient, little things, as I say, like when the kid's getting more possessed, you can see around her door how it's becoming more possessed, how she's converting stuff. And there's when the little girl goes to school, there's quite a funny scene there. People who don't like profanity or swearing words won't like this, but I say I really enjoyed it and I thought it was a good film. The reason I rate it 6.2 is horror isn't one I really go to. I enjoyed it. It's one that I may revisit once in my lifetime, and that would probably be it. If this was a different genre and it was done to the caliber this movie was done with the same actors and that, I probably would pick this up. But because it is horror and because it is supernatural, and I don't feel I will benefit anything from going back and rewatching it, because it's like I enjoyed it, as I say. The reason kind of I enjoy it, I say, because I had my mate there, and because he has two young girls, there are scenes of young girls that he can kind of relate to that, and obviously I've interacted with his kids and stuff like that and get on really well with them, so I can kind of see this. So we had some kind of commonalities in there, and I thought that was good. But yeah, overall, it was like I say, I have no need to go back to this. I'm not a horror movie fan. It's not one I would necessarily pick up to rewatch because it does nothing for me. It's good story, as I say, it's well done. And I thought, you get Evil Dead Rises definitely has that sort of feel and some of the designs of stuff. As I say, the young girl, Natalie Grace, I thought she was a very good actress at playing this demonic stuff like that. And, she moves around quite feral and stuff like this. Worked really well and playing with it. It wasn't all of, there wasn't really jump scares. It was a little bit more kind of the voodoo-y type of thing where you can control people and stuff like that. Works for some people, doesn't want the other. It's all right, as I say. That has been my review of Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Have you seen this movie? Obviously, I saw it the first day it came out, so not many people would have seen it when this review's out. But what did you think? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Otherwise, I've been Chris from Sci-Fi Signal Screen Time. Hit that like button if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.